In this video, we will be talking about implementing the split plot example of the agricultural experiment into JMP. So we are going to be getting this ANOVA table that we saw in our lesson 12C notes. So to do this, we're going to get our data into JMP, and we're going to go to Analyze, Fit Model. The easiest one is to put yield in the Y. Now what we're going to do is we're going to think about what we have as our model effects. So we first want to put in our row. So that's our farm. So we're going to click on farm and add it. Our next thing that we want to add is our whole plot. In this case, that's our fertilizer. So we're going to add that. It is a fixed effect. And so we are not going to add a random term. Also, farm was supposed to be fixed and not random. You'll notice after we run this analysis that it doesn't matter and the farm values are actually the same. That was a tangent. Next, we want to get our delta, so our whole plot error term. And recall that our whole plot error term is the interaction between our block and our whole plot. So we're going to highlight both of those and then we're going to cross it. Now, this interaction term is going to be random because it's going to be representing our delta, which we know is a random error. A good suggestion is you see how it's highlighted in pink. I would suggest clicking off it or else you might incur some errors that you weren't expecting. Our next term we want to include is our beta j, which is our variety. So we're going to add that. Again, this is a fixed effect. So we're not going to go here and make it random. We are not going to do that. Then we want to include our interaction term, which is at the subplot. So highlight both of those, press cross. And so here we have our models. We don't need to include this subplot error term because that will pop up in the ANOVA. Again, we want to go here to method, convert it to expected mean squareds, and look at the effect leverage. So it's similar to what we've seen previously in our class. And we're going to click run. We're going to scroll down here. Here's the first ANOVA table where we would get our mean squared error for our subplot. We get this other stuff, which I'm just going to close out. Here's your variance component. Notice that it's also negative there. And then we would come down to the test with random effects. Notice that the farm didn't change whether it was random or fixed. But again, we're not looking. You aren't going to be looking at here. We have our fertilizer, our variety, our interaction term, and then here our farm, fertilizer, random. This is where we'd be looking for our mean squared error for our whole plot, and we would be using the fertilizer, variety, and the interaction term for testing. Recall we are in a fixed effect case, so we would test interaction first, then we'd go to the main effects. If we needed to, we could scroll up here, and we could look at the interaction plot for fertilizer variety by going to ls means, plots, and following that idea, similar to what we've seen before. We also can go to variety and do the Tukey analysis here. You could do the Tukey analysis. I say you could. It doesn't make sense because fertilizer only had fertilizer 1 and 2. And so if we're saying there's a difference, the difference is between fertilizer 1 and 2. So you wouldn't really do a Tukey's for fertilizer. And that's how you do a split plot design in JMP.